easiest schedule ever. How do you handle one? You don't think about the zones, so you just keep going, and you never think about what time zone you're in, and it doesn't really affect you. The worst thing you can do is sit down and say, what time is it where I was? Because it doesn't matter, you just got to work and sleep. Get your sleep when you can. I slept for 7 hours on a plane. Joshua slept for 12 hours on a plane from Saudi Arabia. It was the most mind-blowing experience I've ever had in boxing. It was crazy.
Didn't take Bob's edibles?
No, I like the interview. It's not really my thing, but I think the way he's going at 87, I think I need to get on the edibles. I don't even know what they are, but they sound great.
Eddie, who has more pressure to win this fight, Joshua or Ruiz?
Do you know, yesterday, the press conference yesterday was so fascinating because both guys I felt looked a little bit nervy in it. I mean, don't forget yesterday, we were in a country that neither men have been before. You know, never staged a mega fight. I mean, it was just the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. And both guys, I think they were a little bit nervous, whether they admit it or not, because it was a whole new experience. And, you know, Ruiz had a little air of, not arrogance, but confidence about him. Joshua reminded me of a little bit how he reminded me in the early days, you know, just a little bit more edgy than he used to be. It had a lot more edge than the first press conference because the first press conference had no edge. I mean, he gave him his belts, you know, and Ruiz looked like a competition winner. And yesterday, you know, Ruiz travelled, looked, behaved like a champion. And I think Joshua, again, whether he admits it or not, wants this challenger mentality in this fight. In terms of who's got more pressure, well, I don't know. I mean, for Joshua, it's a must-win fight. For Ruiz, you know, I don't know whether the mentality, you know, he's obviously got a huge amount of money over 2 fights. Does that take the edge off? Does that take the hunger off? Or does that drive him on to want more and to be in bigger fights? Because if Ruiz wins this fight, he's the biggest star in boxing. You know, and if Joshua wins the fight, he probably is. And then, you know, you start talking about the fights that we talked about, you know, non-stop for 18 months.
Has there been an undercard announced yet?
Not yet, no. We're about 12 weeks out, so next few days and weeks.
What's the latest on the stadium?
Being built, underway. I mean, they've got 3 events there. They've got the Formula E, which is part of the Formula 1, which is what they held last year. They had 50,000 attend that event last year. And the new stadium is part of the hospitality sort of arena for the Formula 1. Then they've got our event, and then they've got another major sporting event, which I'm not actually sure they've announced yet, the week after. So pressure's on.
How big is the stadium?
16,000. Started off at 8, then it was 10. I said you need to make it much bigger, so they said how about 16? So
What kind of crowd do you think it will be?
16.
More Saudi national? Do you feel like there'll be some?
We've had a huge amount of interest from Britain, but there's also a lot of expats in Saudi. Dubai is an hour and 45 minutes. And there are so many Brits in Dubai, so many expats in Dubai. They're all going to fly over. I mean, you could tell yesterday at the press conference it was packed. I mean, that was media and very special invite only. But what was really nice was at the airport, they were both getting mobbed, you know, by fans, and that was refreshing because I think a lot of the criticism is, oh, you know, what does this country know about boxing? They've got TVs. You know, they watch live sport. They know who Anthony Joshua is. They know who Andy Ruiz is. And for them, the excitement level to be staging an event like this is on another level.
Do they have the zone though?
Not yet. I'm sure they will do soon.
Eddie, Ruiz looked heavier yesterday than he was when they fought. What did you think of that?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Like, I saw a lot of comments on it. I mean, I saw him this close, and I saw the pictures of him as well. This close, he looked exactly the same as he did at the first press conference. The pictures, he looked a bit bigger. There's 12 weeks to go. So I expect him to be exactly the same weight as he was for the first fight. I think the benefit that he had for the first fight was he was coming off a win 7 weeks before, or 6 weeks before. So he'd just done a training camp. He was already in shape, didn't have time to relax and eat. But I asked him the question yesterday at the press conference. I said, people are always, everybody's saying, you know, the Rolls Royces, the mansions, all the bling, have you taken your afterball? And he was quite adamant, absolutely not. And you know what, Manny Robles is a great trainer. I don't believe that Manny would allow him to, he's definitely probably more, definitely heavier than Manny would probably like him to be. But I guess that's always the case with Andy Ruiz.
Can you tell us what was said between both fighters when they stood face? For the first time since...
Ruiz said, I think, I'm going to mic both guys today because you needed to hear it because it was brilliant. Ruiz said something like, I know you're going to be ready this time. And Joshua said, make sure you're ready. He said, as I said to you at the last press conference, December 7th, you're only champion until December 7th. And then all the belts go in the air. And then we go to war. And he said, I'll be ready, God's on my side. That's what Ruiz said. It was very intense, and then it was very respectful after. So we'll see what we get today. Hopefully Andy didn't sleep much on a plane.
Will there be changes in the production in deference to the fact that this is in Saudi Arabia? In other words, will there be women on the production crews
Absolutely,
or not, or
yeah.
any other changes?
I mean, I couldn't believe, a lot of this, until you experience it, everything's hearsay. A lot of it's hearsay. So, like, we got on the plane yesterday, full of women, right? So, and, dressed in a non-traditional way. This is a direct flight from London to Saudi Arabia. We got there, full of women. You speak to the guys today. The invitation to this event is open to men, women, everybody. There'll be a number of TV broadcasters at the event live with female production staff. There's codes you have to respect, in terms of the dress and stuff like that. And but having experience, again, like last night, went to the event at press conference. So many women there, probably as many women there as men, or close to. And having experienced what we experienced last night, like I can say to women travelling, to production teams travelling, this is their opportunity to say to people, you're all welcome. So in that respect, you're all welcome.
What type of security measures do you have in place?
This is probably the safest place I've ever been to. They went rather OTT for Andy Ruiz because of his comments, and he had personal security. He had army as well there. We had beautiful hotels, security on the floor, on the lobby, on your floor, because this is their opportunity to showcase to the world. So they wanted to make sure that Andy Ruiz was happy. As far as I was concerned, the security was ridiculously over the top, but that's what they wanted to put in place to make sure all the teams were comfortable.
Ruiz had U.S. Army?
Saudi, yeah. I believe that he has Mexican sort of special forces coming to the. No, but that was our recommendation.
No, I'm just.
Yeah. No,
I didn't even know they had special
yeah,
forces.
Yeah, because yes, his mate. It's his mate.
His name, yeah.
But basically, when we was going through this whole process with Ruiz, it was a case of they heard all these things people saying to this is ridiculous, you can't go there. So it was a case of okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that the army are in place in Saudi Arabia, personal security provided from Matchroom. And he said, well, I want our people. I said, what do you want? You want Mexican armed forces security? We'll get that as well. I went to Hermosillo 2 weeks ago. I have to say...
You recruited there?
What?
Did you recruit from there?
No, but we know the same kind of teams that work for us there. I've got to say, I felt a million times more safe in Saudi than I did in Hermosillo. But I loved Hermosillo as well. So...
Eddie, you're half Mexican, those are your roots.
I am half Mexican, yeah, but Hermosillo was a little bit edgy. So was Tijuana, to be honest with you, but we love it.
Tijuana's safe.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
okay,
safe.
I'll take your word for it.
I go there all the time.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Eddie,
That's another story. That's not for this
Not at that
interview,
place. Not at that place.
What do you tell the casual fans that this fight, the magnitude of this fight is not on pay-per-view, knowing that this could possibly generate over a million pay-per-view buys?
Well, we're with a broadcaster where we're trying to eradicate that model.
Okay.
So yes, this is a pay-per-view fight. Obviously, being out of the country on a different time zone makes it less appealing as a pay-per-view event. But we had the opportunity to do it in the US, and it wouldn't have been on pay-per-view. It would have been on DAZN. So for me, it's by far the biggest fight of the year in 2019. It's going to come to you at 4 p.m. on December the 7th, 9 p.m. UK time, midnight Saudi Arabia time. And I think it's great for boxing. I think what we've got to realise is there's another world out there outside of this great country and my great country. And the mindset of Saudi Arabia, and now since we've done that deal and many other countries in the Middle East have been approaching me as well, is we want to make sure that all the mega fights are staged here.
Knowing that Andy Ruiz is a PBC fighter and Anthony Joshua is Matchroom, have you considered at least reaching out to Al Haymon, having like a PBC versus Matchroom card for Saudi Arabia? Knowing
Not really. I'd rather just have a matchroom card.
Okay.
Is there another rematch clause in place, Eddie? If
Not
Andy
this
does
time,
one?
no.
Not this time? No rubber match, anything?
No, but absolutely not contractually. But who knows? I mean, I think if we had another fight like the first fight and Joshua won, I think everyone would be calling for number 3.
Are those times you gave us for the main event? or
Yes,
the
main
start of
event.
the telecast?
Main event. So the main event will be 12 o'clock Saudi Arabia time, which will be 9 p.m. UK time, which will be 4 p.m. Eastern.
I know he had a contract before, but did he try to get a rematch clause? Ruiz, did
No.
he try to? He did not?
It seems that Andy didn't want to participate for the same terms that he agreed to prior to the first fight, and maybe wanted to bring his price up. What was your reaction to that? How was it resolved?
The most inevitable thing I've ever seen was the reaction. And when he signed the contract, he was the happiest man in the world. And then when he won the fight, he thought it was a bad deal. So this is boxing. This is how it works. And to be fair, there were some additional things that we wanted him to do for the rematch, for our deal with Saudi Arabia. There might have been some commercial terms, maybe some appearances, some memorabilia, additional visits on the media tour, and we paid for that. It was never about the location and the safety, but they were things that we had to overcome as well and make sure that him and his team were comfortable with. So it was 99% about the money, and it was 1% about the safety, the drug testing, the commission, and all the other things that they were right to ask. I don't blame them for asking those things. This is a move into a territory that isn't used to mega events. It's done the World Boxing Super Series, it's done an Amir Khan fight, but never an event of this magnitude. So Tom Brown, Al Haymon, all those guys did their job by making sure that the commission, the security, the testing, all those kind of things were how it should be for a fight of this magnitude.
So the commission's being flown out there, you have to fly everyone out there, right?
So no, there's a commission already out there. Saudi Arabia Commission, they did the World Boxing Super Series, they did the Amir Khan fight.
I heard it wasn't sanctioned.
Yes, it's sanctioned, but we have an agreement with Andy Ruiz that we will have representation from both sides on the commission. So they will have the selected commissioner from here, from the US,
okay.
and we will have one from the UK. We met with the commission yesterday, who have staged events before. Again, all the eyes of the world is on them, so they want to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. So at our request and at Team Ruiz's request, we will have representatives that sit, not representatives, but local commissions to us that sit on that commission to advise and make sure both parties are happy with everything.
Eddie,
Selection?
what's it called? The
Saudi Arabian Boxing Commission, yeah.
And what about the judges and the referees?
They will be as per the first fight, which is as per the governing bodies, which will be neutral officials all round.
Including the referee.
Correct. So we will make sure it will either be a British judge, an American judge, a neutral judge, or all neutral officials and a neutral referee as well. So no British ref, no American. I mean, the referee is 100% neither British or American. But we will make sure that, as always, the governing bodies will put forward all the officials. It will be selected and whittled down by the commissioners to come back to the camps and say, this is the selection. Do you have any objections? Those objections will be reviewed, but they'll be all neutral officials.
Nevada testing all around, you mentioned drug testing.
Nevada testing has already started.
From a business perspective, it makes sense to chase the rematch and get the titles back, and obviously it's lucrative. From a boxing perspective, do you think that it would have behooved AJ to take another fight to see kind of what happened?
Yeah, I think maybe the sensible thing would have been to take a warm-up fight, but I don't think AJ has any interest at all in a warm-up fight. 9 times out of 10, you would say he should be beating Andy Ruiz. I mean, certainly going into that first fight.
They still have a really terrible human rights record. Their treatment of gay people is terrible. What do you make of all that sense and the pushback you've gotten, and even making the conscious decision to stage a fight over there?
I think really the first bit of your question, we know they're changing, we know they're trying, and that's what I see. So I can only tell you from my experience, they're trying to make a difference. They're trying to showcase to people that their country is changing. Every country has problems. Every country has issues. But I can just tell you that from my perspective, from what I see, from the people I deal with, I believe that they're trying to make a change. From a logistical point of view, this event is on a level I've never witnessed before. I mean, the press conference, I've never seen it. You'd never see it in London, you'd never see it in America, what I saw last night, which was a country that is willing to invest so much money into sport. And when they look me in the eye and tell me we are going to become effectively the home of boxing, you've got to take them very seriously. Because if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. Every promoter in the world has been trying to stage an event in Saudi and the Middle East, a mega event, for years and years. And we were the first to get it. Unfortunately, we'll also get the criticism that comes with it. Since then, as Saudi have told me, every promoter in the world has been in contact with them, asking if they can do a fight as well. So this is going to open up, and no country in boxing right now can possibly compete with the money that is available in the Middle East. So we either embrace it or we turn our nose up at it, let someone else do it. What do? I stop our fighters from making opportunities. Do you think, they look at the country that they're fighting in? No, they look at the opportunity, they look at the money they're making, and this is my job as a promoter, to make sure that our fighters make the most money. I create the best opportunities for them. I have to get the stick that comes with it, not the fighter, because I'm the one that essentially signs the dotted line to say we're going to Saudi Arabia. But we did that with the blessing of all teams, and even Team Ruiz. When we were going to go to Cardiff, I spoke to Team Ruiz, to Al Heyman's team, and I said, we're going to go to Cardiff, and they said, we don't want to go to Cardiff, we do not want to go to England. I said, well, the other option is Saudi Arabia. They said, we'll go Saudi Arabia. So they were happier to go to Saudi Arabia than they were to go to England. So, yeah, come.
Do you think he regrets that now?
Ruiz.